How interesting is this, that here at the start of this video, in which I'm going to disclose some information that I personally think I am supposed to, or these slips wouldn't be happening with a certain contact I have. But how interesting that just before I make this announcement, I can hear some sort of craft hovering, but I can't see it. All right, so folks, I'm going to get started with this, what I allude to with the headline. So this week, I met again with an individual who is a very high-ranking, top clearance government official. And during the course of our conversation, he sort of starts leading me towards a specific topic. He begins with asking about my quails. And I said, you know about the quails. 7 out of 8 of them are dead, and the one's still doing okay so far. He's like, yeah, what's the chatter like out there with the folks that follow your most awesome homesteading channel on the planet that typically doesn't have much to do with homesteading off the grid on YouTube? I was like, well, I guess it's interesting you bring this up. And by this point, I'd caught on that he was trying to lead me. I said, they keep talking about a particular illness, and I have every reason to believe that this is going to be the next subject matter of extreme censorship, because from what I'm about to tell you, what you'll see through the conversation that took place with me and this gentleman, I believe this very well may be the next catastrophe. All right. So we're going to have to play a game of charades. Now, troll alert and cynic alert. People with zero sense of humor, i.e. most trolls and cynics, most as in all, are going to say that I can't be taken seriously because I'm about to play some charades. Because I can't come out and say these words. You know how I talk about the little C? In yesterday's video, I actually said the word when I was talking about the grocery store that was going out of business because of rampant theft and shoplifting. I said they made it through the little C pandemic, but I used the word. Did you know? You notice that video came out about 2 hours later than I usually publish videos. That's because the community guidelines checkers caught that word, and it took 2 hours before they would approve that video for monetization and publication. Simply from saying that word. That's the only thing it could have been. So anyway, this is going to be the next subject matter that's going to be heavily censored. We better watch what we say in this regard, and we better not come out and say the term. So here, I'm going to play some charades. So 2 words, okay? Think of my quails. Quails are a what? What type of animal are quails? Caw-caw, caw-caw. Caw-caw, caw-caw. All right, that's the first word. Now, second word. Achoo! Excuse me, I seem to have come down with 3 letters. Achoo! Now, put them together. What do you get? Caw-caw, caw-caw, achoo! Caw-caw, caw-caw, achoo! I'm not joking. This is no laughing matter. Do you even see as much of a hint of a smile on my face? All right, so during this conversation with this top-ranking, super high clearance level individual, when I asked about that, I said because that's what chatter seems to be coming around, and a lot of folks are making a connection with the orbs and the fog. And I said, do you have any information on that? He said, I do. He says, I had a directive come out in my department today. And I said, what was that directive? He said, no one in my department is allowed to talk about that. I said, yeah, like everything else? He says, no, not like everything else. He says, we've never been instructed not to talk about this. He says, as a matter of fact, if you were to have come over yesterday and we would have sat here and had this same conversation, I could have talked about it all I wanted. I could have told you everything that I knew. He said, but now we are not allowed to talk about that specific issue. It could cost this man his clearance, his job, and he could be imprisoned. So my question is why and why now? And I said that. And he just looked at me and he says, what do you think? And then I said, is this the next catastrophe? And he just smiled and he says, I'm not allowed to talk about it. And then we started talking about other things and it was never brought up again. Come on, you folks that watch these videos are smart. You're very intelligent. People that watch my videos have higher IQs, better senses of humor, and are more enjoyable to be around than people who don't, according to a study that I just made up. So you can figure it out. You know, hey, when Big Brother says you're not allowed to talk about a specific issue, it's because you're getting ready to see, if we're not already, a serious issue with that specific issue, which makes it a very serious, specific issue. I know you're picking up what I'm laying down. All right, let's get into the stories. I ran out of ink. So FYI that you can buy me a coffee thing below. All proceeds goes to printer ink and paper. All incoming future proceeds until we gift to another charity. We helped my buddy Heath out over at Heath's house by giving him what we had in the kitty up until the end of like last week for something he's getting ready to do. He's going to go hike up Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa as a fundraiser to provide drinkable water to children over there so they can go to school. If you haven't already, please support my buddy Heath at Heath's house. There is a link to his YouTube channel in the description box below. He's a great guy. He's a combat veteran, served in Iraq. He was in Afghanistan, and he currently serves in the Army National Guard. So, with that said, let's get directly to the story. This first one from Dave. This is a nice one. It says, "Hi, Kevin. I sent this to you a few days ago. You have my permission to use the story in the drawing. And I'm going to insert this drawing right here. I'm sticking my hand out so that as I go through to edit this video, which basically I just cut off the very beginning and the very end, so you don't see the other part of me walking, okay? Hey, man, I'm honest. I'm transparent, okay? This means cut it off and put the picture in here now. I think Dave drew this, and this is really good. Have a look. Okay. Dave says, I saw this UFO while I was working in security for MTD in Tucson, Arizona. It had those huge, what looked like magnifying lenses on the one side. It was near Davis Monthan Air Force Base, and it appeared to be monitoring the A-10s as they were on approach to land to the northwest. It was more than 75 yards from me. Oh, it was no more than 75 yards from me and hovering at about 50 to 20 feet above ground level. So it wasn't far from him and it wasn't very high off the ground. I'm a former military helicopter pilot, a graduate of Fort Rucker in 1987, and a civilian fixed-wing flight instructor. And then he even gave me his pilot's FAA number, which I'm not going to give to the world here, but you know, Dave did that to prove his credibility. I mean, this is a bona fide pilot with an FAA number, still active. And he says, I love your channel, Dave. Dave, thanks for your story. And so here's a guy who was in the know. It was his job to know what was going on with all this aircraft. He's seeing something he doesn't understand. So there you have it. The next one, it says, Hi, Kevin. Not a lot to share, but real. I lived on Cornwall Island in 1973. This is interesting. We've had like almost a dozen stories from 1973 come in lately. And I remember that because that's the year I was born. Cornwall Island, if you don't know, it's an island in the middle of the St. Lawrence River on the Canadian-U.S. border, though it does belong completely and entirely to Canada, but it's within sight of the U.S. She continues, she was on Cornwall Island, her and a friend, on a bridge that crossed to the USA. Says we would frequently see small discs send a beam of light onto the bridge. Then the bridge lights would dim. Then they sped off super fast. We would only see one at a time from time to time. I moved away and recently moved nearby the reservation. There's also a Native Canadian reservation, maybe that, or Native American, on that island. I recently moved back to the nearby reservation and I saw this old friend and her sister in Walmart. We reminisced and I asked her if she remembered the UFOs we saw. Of course, I'm unashamed as the government already came clean. She agreed she remembered. I carried this with me for decades and shared only with a select few. By the way, I appreciate your love and care for your family. It's a breath of fresh air to see in this era. Thank you for sharing and being our voice. Barbara S. Thank you, Barbara S. Going on, we now have a story from Mindy. Mindy writes, "Hi, Kevin. If I told you all my personal experiences, it would take at least 2 books. I will tell you the latest because there is something different about it, and the difference unnerves me. I live in a small rural North Carolina town that is very quiet at night. I have thick plastic-lined curtains that I keep closed and pinned together. Also, I am on the 3rd floor. As I was drifting off to dreamland, I saw a very bright flash of light. I know it wasn't anything natural, but I was so used to strange things in the building, I just went on to sleep anyway. Next day, I was checking through my video recordings from my security cam. There was a bright, rather solid ball of light surrounded by soft light lying on the floor near my bed. The wall near my bed was brighter than the rest of the wall. As I am so used to balls of light and much stranger things, I wouldn't have even mentioned it except I looked more closely at the photo and I apparently was gone from my bed. I remember just falling asleep. I should have been right there in that bed. I know aliens exist and I have had many experiences with them and gotten photos from my phone cam and later from a security cam. But I have never been abducted and see no reason I would be. I never believed in alien abduction. Not seeing myself on that bed where I should have been has unnerved me. I'm so tired of the games these entities play. One thing I will add. The first time I saw something really strange, a large ball of light with a fairy inside, I figured it was a sleep disorder and I went to see my doctor. She had brain scans and blood tests done. Then she also sent me to a sleep doctor. Everything was normal and she never considered me abnormal in any way and said she wasn't worried. I never did tell her about the photos I got later." From Mindy. So, Mindy, you were talking here about not believing in abduction, but my goodness, the picture that you just described, really sounds a lot like you might have been. So, folks, what do you know? Or what do you think? Let us know in the comments section. And now it looks like I might have said that was from Mindy when actually the next one's from Mindy. Yes, so the one I just read was sent anonymously. Mindy, I'm sorry about that, but hey, good news. You get credit for 2 stories today. But here's Mindy's actual story. Sorry, folks, that's what happens when I start to run out of ink and have to use my pen. The real Mindy, please stand up, writes, "Hi, Kevin. My name is Mindy." Not the person whose story you just read. I actually just ad-libbed that in. "Hi, Kevin. My name is Mindy. I am fairly new to your channel and have been watching and listening to the UFO experiences that other people have sent to you. I've been trying to get the courage to send you my experience. I have not talked about this experience for a long time as it happened in June of 1973. Here's another one. What was going on in 1973? And these experiences are coming in from people from around the world. We've had New Zealand, Australia, England, Canada, the U.S. Something was going on in 1973. Mindy continues that she was 13 years old, and nothing has scared me more in my entire life. My dad, mom, brother, and I were driving back home from California to Arizona, where we lived. We had gone to California for my cousin's wedding and had to return to Arizona quickly due to my dad's job. We were in the middle of the desert after 10 p.m. at night. The desert was illuminated by the moon. I thought it was pretty and kind of creepy too, as there were deserted gas stations and abandoned little buildings out there in the desert landscape. I started to play a game with myself as we drove through the night. I would see an abandoned building or gas station and I would start counting to see how long it would be before I couldn't see the building anymore. Remember, I was 13 years old and my brother was only 5 years old at the time. Suddenly, we came upon what looked like a little neighborhood of houses shortly before coming into a bigger town. There was a lighted Ferris wheel going around in that neighborhood, but there weren't any people around. I was shocked that there would be a Ferris wheel going in the middle of the night. My mom and I started talking about how weird to see a Ferris wheel going so late at night. I turned around to start counting to see how long it would be before I couldn't see that Ferris wheel any longer, and to my astonishment, it wasn't a Ferris wheel. It had changed from looking like a Ferris wheel to a disc shape with lights going around. My dad said it was just the military. The military? Next thing we knew, it started following us and then came on top of our car. I panicked and threw a blanket over my head to hide. Then we saw another car coming from the other direction, and the UFO just disappeared so fast. We were supposed to be home by midnight, but it was 3 a.m. when we got home. So much time gone. I have no memory of where that time went. Anyway, I know they are real, and I've known for over 50 years now. My story isn't as exciting as some, but it scared me to my core. You are welcome to share it if you would like to, and to say my name. God bless you and your family, and thank you for what you are doing to get the truth out there. Best wishes, Mindy. Mindy, thank you for this story you sent and the previous story that you didn't send. Come on, it's not funny by the sixth time, right? Wow. I mean, so they see this Ferris wheel looking thing that just takes off and starts flying, chases them down and lands on their car. Makes me wonder, Mindy, and I bet you've asked yourself this question countless times throughout the years. What might have happened if that other car hadn't come? Whew. All right, here we go. Is this the last one? Man, these are so good. You get so many good ones. They're all good. Keep sending them, folks. No, we have 2 left, it looks like. So, folks, if you have a story that you want the folks to hear, you can email it to me. The email address is crazylake@mail.com. Do please give me your permission to share the story. We got a couple stories again yesterday. The people, they write out, they say, don't share this on YouTube, but, and then they write these long stories. Come on, folks. Strength in numbers, we need the numbers. So give us your permission. Now, as far as your name goes, if you want to be kept anonymous, let me know that. I won't mention your name. Now, here's the next one. It says, Dear Kevin, you have my permission to use my name and share the contents of this email. My name is Rose. That's my real name. And I was stationed at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio for over 10 years. During my time there, I had experienced, seen, smelled, heard, and felt strange goings-on. I'm going to only concentrate on this one particular event that I had personally experienced. This is kind of a follow-up to one of the stories you read online in the video titled Reports, Multiple Alien Abductions and High-Speed UFO Chase Confirmed by Actual Pilot Chased. This is my story. This is Rose's story coming up. Interestingly, that one also took place in 1973. It was late one night/morning, I'd say about 3 o'clock a.m. I was laying in my bed and I saw a bright light shine through 2 slats of my closed window blinds. I lived on base. It was so bright it lit up my whole bedroom. I peeked out the window in between those slats to see what that light was. All I saw was the bright light when I looked up, and it made no sound. I did not know what kind of craft it was. A drone? A helicopter? An airplane? I heard no engines, no propellers rotating, nothing. And like the other person wrote, I felt strange, maybe like an outer body experience. The next thing I knew, I was back in my bed. I do not remember walking back to my bed or how I got there. The next day, I'd asked some of my neighbors if they'd seen a strange bright light in the sky last night, and no one else saw that light, just me. I don't know why the light, had targeted me. This is not the end of this story, but I wanted to stop here. I have others to share, including a certain hangar, toxic waste, women, and children being sickened by an unseen force, and more. If you'd like to hear more, Kevin, please email me back. So sorry to hear about your birds. I'm an animal lover, and I hate to hear stories like that. You have a lovely family. I wish you and your family the very best, and take care. Kind regards, Rose. Rose, I would love to hear more of your stories. Please feel free to send them, and I'm sure the folks here would love to hear some more of them as well. And but it sounds like Rose was clearly alluding to a loss of time in that story as well, since she has no memory of walking back to bed. All right, here we go. This one's from Claudia. Claudia writes, Hey, Kevin and everyone watching. So, I've been a fan of your channel for about a year now. I've always been fascinated by UFOs. Way back in the 80s, I was even a member of MUFON with Donald Ware. You can just call me Claudia, by the way. Tina's email about the glowing orb really got to me. You'll remember that was maybe a week or so now. Tina from, I think it's Tina up in Canada, had several different orb stories that took place over a period of years. It reminded me of something that happened to me back in 1972. Interesting, just a year before 73. I was 15, hanging out in the Florida Panhandle with my girlfriend and her boyfriend near Eglin Air Force Base. We were parked in a truck overlooking a field with a trailer in it, when suddenly this huge ball of light floated silently over the trees. It was way bigger than the trailer, and it looked like a swirling fire. It moved really slowly across the trees, then whoosh, shot straight up into the sky in a second. My friend and I just stared at each other, speechless. "Did you see that?" we both asked. Crazy, right? The weird thing is, we never talked about it again. My friend's passed away now, but I still have vivid dreams about it and other strange lights I saw as a kid. Tina's story really made me want to share my experience. My husband always believed me, but hearing someone else describe a similar orb, well, it's pretty wild. I never really thought much about it beyond knowing I'd seen it, but I've always believed in what I witnessed. Thanks for letting me share. Best, Claudia. Claudia, thanks for sharing, and that's piggybacking off of thanking Tina for sharing, so Claudia would come out with her story. Folks, that's the mission of this channel now, at least in regard to these lines of videos. We want folks who have had these experiences, and you've seen week after week after week now, we've got folks in their 70s sharing their stories with us, some of them anonymously because they still just don't want their name to be out there, but some are letting us use their names. They're sharing experiences they had half a century ago, some of them. They finally have the courage to do that because so many of you have come forward and shared your stories as well. Please continue to do so. Send them to me. I'll be your voice here on this channel where we don't allow any bullying, no harassment, no trolling, no botting, no cynics who want to come here and play all backside hurt because they're insanely jealous because they've never had one of these experiences, though they are believers. And so they want to judge us for ours because we have some, somebody emailed me. It was a very long email. And I wish I could remember your name. I read like 200 emails every morning. But he's been researching this stuff. He's read over hundreds of books on this phenomena. And he says that the odd thing, this is what a lot of the hardline conspiracy theorists, strictists, the cynic types don't understand, is that with almost every experience, actual genuine experience, there typically is something out of the norm that varies off of the script. So actually, if people didn't have those oddities occurring in their experiences, that, for somebody that's as thoroughly researched as that gentleman who sent that email is, that would draw a red flag. So just saying, hey, judge not, or we will judge you ourselves. Just kidding. But if you're disrespectful to me, my family, or any other user on a platform, you will lose your ability to comment. Okay? So don't do that. Behave and be nice. So thanks for being here with me for another totally awesome video with a bunch of totally awesome stories sent in by you, our totally awesome viewers, here at the most awesomest homesteading channel on planet Earth. It doesn't have a whole lot to do with homesteading. Homesteading off the grid. See you for more next time. And remember that which we can no longer discuss. Ka-ka, ka-ka, ha-choo! Ka-ka, ka-ka, ha-choo! Somebody sent me an email and said, OMG, I didn't realize you actually had such long brown hair. I thought that was like a scarf or something. No. Maybe it's feathers? Get it? Feathers? Okay. Ka-ka, ka-ka, ha-choo! Ka-ka, ka-ka, ha-choo! Ka-ka, ka-ka, ha-choo! Ka-ka, ka-ka, ha-choo!